usually when there is a tragic incident like that of Bimbo, a lot of which juju is catching the network there. Let's do deliverance. Okay, we've had, don't worry, we'll organize the deliverance after, we'll do it. It is well. Anyway, there's something, usually when there's a tragedy, we tend to hear things like, why did she not leave? Or what did the family do? How did the family help? Why did they leave her there? You know, all sort of questions comes up. And you made a statement, you said, if a woman is not ready to leave, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
There's nothing, to be honest.
There's nothing. So I'm just putting that out there for people that are quick to condemn the family of an abused person, saying what were they looking at? Why did they not blah, 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 and all that. So let's now talk about how you were able to get to that place where you decided and to, you know, to not go back, because you said you've left multiple times, but you keep going back. Yeah. How did you get to that place where you decided that enough is enough, I'm not going back?
Okay, so like I said, the hittings were becoming more aggressive and all of that, but the last one that was like the final nail on the coffin, so that day I don't even know what caused the fight, because it was always little. I can't say it was because I did this or I didn't do this. So that day he was hitting me, and then my little son then was 3 years old, so my son started jumping up and hitting him. I said, leave my mommy alone, leave my mommy alone. And I just had a flash of my son being a teenager, almost as tall as his dad, and then maybe his dad is beating me, and then the son starts to beat the dad. And of course, that's a sin in the Bible. You know, I had that flash, and then that moment I had that flash, I think he hit me again, wanted to hit me on my neck like this. That was very vivid. And I just swerved. And there's this pillar in our house. So when I just swerved to avoid that hit on my neck, I just hit my leg on the pillar, and then practically 2 toes broke. Oh, you know, everything. And then I screamed because of the pain and everything. And then he left me and just insulted me and walked out of the house. You know, so that's why I was crying and all of that. So I think was it my house help or something, went downstairs to call the neighbors downstairs that, you know, that we talked to. So that woman's husband had to come upstairs because we're living upstairs. And I was like, and let's be mommy ayo, and let's be lost hospital. I have to take you to the hospital, that this one, that one. Because, you know, I couldn't stand on the leg. Every time I tried to stand, I would scream the pain. So he backed me from upstairs, and I've always been horrible. The man backed me. As you know, God bless him, whoever it might be. He backed me downstairs, you know, put me in his car, and then they drove me straight to the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, you know, I was crying. The leg was paining. It was as if the leg was breathing. The toes were breathing. That was how the pain was. You know, so I was just like that on the chair. And then the nurses that wanted to take, what do they call that thing? That they want to take your is it vitals or whatever. And, you know, the man was shouting at them that, look, it's just her leg. Leave her. You don't need to do the nurse. And thank God the nurse did that, because when they now took my BP, I don't know the numbers right now again, but like by the time they told the doctor, just rushed to me, and the next day just gave me injection. And I was wondering what was going on. And they were like, that's BP. That they don't even know how I survived with that BP to, you know, getting to the hospital. Yeah, that I could have died. That my BP was, I'm telling you. So I was shocked because I did not even, it was leg, me, I was crying. I didn't know my BP was already at the point of death level. You know, that kind of thing. So it was like a wake-up call. And then when the doctor now started talking, what happened was like my husband beats me. You know, the doctor was now trying to, you know, tell me, to advise me and all of that, you know, that giving me that injection, because if they did not give me that injection, I could have passed away or something. Wow. You know, he was talking and advising me, and, you know, I was telling him what happened, and I told him that, oh, they wanted to hit me here, and that's why I dodged and hit the pillar for my toes, my broken toes. And he said, what? He said, that's when I knew of jugular vein. I never knew what was jugular.
Yeah.
In fact, the man told me, he went as far as telling me, the doctor said, even in karate, that's why someone will be doing karate, they just touch you, there's a particular point here, he said your jugular vein, if they touch you there, you are gone. So why was he trying to hit me on my neck? Was he trying to, you know, so those were the things that just made me say, you know what, Bimbo, I'm done. You know what, I have to leave. And it was from that moment I started planning my exit. It took planning, no. It's like I would say, it's never an easy thing. Look, you don't just up and say, I'm leaving this marriage. Hey, no. There's so many things to consider. I have to think of how am I going to cope? How am I going to, you know? And I even had a job. I was a banker. In fact, when we fight, they say, Oceanic big girl. Let me see how they'll promote you. Let me see how. Those were the kind of fights we used to have. Like my job was an issue for him, you know, that kind of thing. So I had a job, talk less of some women that are not even, maybe you don't have anything you're doing and all of that. Despite the fact that I even had a job, it was a tough period of my life. It was a tough decision because I had to now start selling off my jewelry. Then I'll be buying gold. I was like, I can't wear costume, gold, designer. I had to sell all of those things to be able to rent a place, you know, and then I didn't even furnish it. I just put carpets, bought mattress, 2 mattresses, one for my children, one for, you know. So those were the little, I didn't furnish anything. It was just carpets for some months until my late brother gave me chairs, you know. So I had to just do it little by little, planned it, and then I didn't want him to know. Because, you know, if he knew, that's another person that was already planning to kill me. So if he knew, you get. So I just became the docile wife for that period. Look, let me just pretend like everything was okay and all of that. And then the day I left, October 2nd, 2009, where's my tambourine of blessing? You know, that day was like, in fact, those my neighbors downstairs, they're the ones that even helped me. Because by then, of course, they already knew, you know, before then, they didn't know that there was any abuse going on. But since her husband was the one that backed me, so they now knew. They say, anytime back there, you're only shaking, you know. So when I was going to leave, I told the lady, and she was the one that she helped me to get some men to help me come and pack my things, you know. And you know, the funny thing was, when I was packing, I never do that kind of thing before, like packing my load. Normally, I'll just leave with suitcase and I'll come back. But this time around, I was just done. And guess what? I didn't tell anybody. Nobody. Even the friend, nobody knew. It was just that lady downstairs, and that's because she was going to help me. She helped me get the truck that was going to come and pick, and then the guys that will help me bring down my things, because all the time I was living in the house, I was the one buying everything. So I was already living like a single mom, even though I was married. I was single married.
You were not married. There was no companionship. There was no communication. There was no financial help. There was no moral
Nothing.
help. We are not married.
It was so bad that when they bring NEPA bill, he would tell me, what they brought NEPA bill, I've dropped it on the TV for you. It was that bad. That was how it was. Like, I was the one doing everything financially. So I was like, there's really nothing I'm going to miss. And that goes back to the why. Why did I want to leave? Because there was nothing worth staying for. But I had to get to that point for myself. So like that day, we're packing, and then all of a sudden, I think one of the boys in the area that used to wash his car, I think that one saw us packing things. That one called him. You know, at that time I was still saying, everything of my 7 years, everything I put in this house, I'm taking everything, everything, you know. So they were bringing it down, you know, casually, as if, because normally when he goes in the morning, of course, it's 12:01, he will come back, you get. So that was what I was, but I didn't know that someone had informed him. So his best friend, thank God for that one, that one just called me on the phone. I said, Bimbo, he was whispering, what's going on? He said, we are already coming, Deji knows you are moving. Please make sure you're not there. That's how that one whispered it on my. God bless him.
Wow. Even his
but you know the funny thing was that man's wife that even his wife is a lawyer. Was his wife, that man's wife, that his best friend's wife. That's the person that actually represented him during the divorce. So you know, it was the husband that just called me and said, "Look, Bimbo," he was whispering. He said, "Look, I'm driving. He cannot. I don't want to call his name. He can't drive now. I'm driving. He's beside me. He's a mess. Please don't let us meet you there." When I just heard that, I just told, I said, like a man. I'm not doing anything more. I'm not doing anything more, because I have to go and pick my kids from school, you know. So I said, I'm not doing anything more. They were like, the one paid me the most, I still say, because I love pictures. All my albums over the years, from my childhood to my NYSC, everything, I left it there. Now, that's the only thing that pained me and everything. So I don't have those pictures, university pictures, you know, all those things. Anyway, I just said, all of us just ran. I said, leave everything. I just jumped into the car. My children's school was very close by. I was living in Apapa Road. My children were attending the Redeem primary school near us there. I just got jumped out of the car, ran inside. By this time, guess what? The school already knew what was happening. Because for him to pay school fees was always doing wuru. So they had called me to their office several times. So they knew that our situation was terrible. So I just got there. I was like, please, I've come to pick my children. They didn't even question it. I just picked, threw them in the car. Mommy, where we go? We're leaving daddy. We're leaving daddy. And they were super glad, because as at that time, in fact, one of the ripple effects, which is another thing, we need to, when you say why, we need to think of the ripple effects on the children. A lot of times you say, it's because of the children I'm staying. No. Because those 7 years I stayed actually cost my children, especially my daughter. Now, my daughter is not emotional. There's nothing you can do. She's not emotional. A lot of people even ask me, since we came to the UK, you barely post your daughter. It's always your son. So I said, because my daughter is now very, she's now a very reserved.
Yeah.
For a long time. So she's not when I'm saying I love you, she's not like that. I know that she's a bad person, she feels love, but she just does it because that was what she was used to. She was not that used to chop cane with me that time. My son was just 3. It was so bad that even the school she's in, our class teachers will call me and be like, one of our teachers was like, anytime she raises her voice, maybe the teacher is just like, say this, that my daughter will just start shaking and all. It was that bad because she had been used to, when my ex starts to raise his voice, the next thing is he's hitting us on our hands. So, it was a long, so that's how I moved. We drove and I moved to Fade. Like, I didn't even care where I was moving to. Fade is one of the rough areas where I got a house at that time. Opposite area boys like this. I was a babalawo opposite my house. I found all of that out later. But at that point, it was just move or die. So when we moved, like I never forget, we got to the place, we opened the door. My children were still wondering, we just entered the house. It was just carpeted. Like I said, I didn't have chairs or anything. And all of us just fell on the floor. And all of us, the 3 of us, were just like, thank God, thank God. It was like, that was what happened. And then I had to now start building my life gradually. I had to leave my bank job. As at that time, now I know some people be like, even if by that time, in fact, where are you living? How will you survive? But I had to leave the job because I borrowed a loan for him from that job. And he refused to pay. Yeah, because I was trying to be the perfect wife. I tell people, I said, look, I didn't just decide to leave my marriage after 7 years. I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm not saying I was perfect. Don't get me wrong. But I tried. I was even reading Power of a Praying Wife, Stormy Omash. I can never forget. Every you say take one day and fast for your husband. I don't read all those things anymore. I'm sorry. Because I did everything that book told me to do. I'm telling you. See, if you are doing everything, you are doing it on a wasted effort. Even late Pastor Bimbo, God bless her. So when she said, Bimbo, you guys, you have no foundation. If the foundation, what can the righteous? That you are just trying. There's no foundation. But of course, she never opened her mouth to say, leave the marriage. But she just told me, if something does not have foundation, what are you building? You're not building anything. You're not building. I don't believe castles in there always crumble. So I did everything, cook different soup, do this one. It no work. And that's why I had to leave. Do you understand? And it was in the period of doing good wife. That's when I borrowed him that money, took the loan from the bank with my name. Do you understand? Borrowed him the money and he never returned. And the funny thing, he had been paid. The business he said, this same uncle, whatever, I don't want to mention his name, people will know him. This same uncle, whatever, that I said called me and said, Bimbo, just leave and everything. He was the same one that called me that day and said, Bimbo, he wants to do this business. I'm going to borrow him 800. Can you help him raise 2 million since you're in the bank? Blah, 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 blah. I promise, don't worry, he will pay back. He will do this. I say, okay, no wahala. Good wife. I borrowed the money for him. Uncle, let me not mention his name. Borrowed him the 800. So we borrowed him the money. And for like 2-3 years, 2 years after, he had not paid the money. Do you understand? Is this same uncle, whatever, that now helped me to make me realize that he had even been paid the money. I borrowed him the money. I think 3 to 5 months after I borrowed him the money, they had paid him. I borrowed him 2 million. They had paid him back 5 million. That uncle, whatever, showed me the photocopy of the check. When you go and receive a check, you write original copy collected by me. That one showed it to me. In fact, that day that one called me and said, look, you need to come to my office now. Can you come? I was like, in fact, my mind said, shut you cool, because I won't lie. At a point, that was what I was praying. That maybe he should die. That would be the only way I can, I can leave. Because to leave was hard. It wasn't easy for me. I wanted to leave, but I was like, how will I leave? I had been. So when that guy called me that day, I was like, so I started praying that he should die, so that when he dies, at least death do us part, me. You get. So when that one called me that day, I said, Shotukuni. That was what I asked him. He said, are you praying for him to die? Just come. You need to come. When I got to that one's office that day, that one's eyes were swollen. What happened? You say you never die. What's going on? In my mind, I was like, kind of happy that you should just tell me he's dead. And I said, no, sit down. He just gave me the check. And I looked at the dates. And do you know what I said? I just started laughing. Hysterical laugh. I started laughing. Because this is a man that, when I asked him that what happened, he said it was, I can say who he works for then. He worked for Cadbury at that time. He did some cards. Then plastic ID cards just came out. Okay? Got the whatever, he was supposed to do Cadbury and all. Big job, which was part of why, you know, that guy said I should help him with the money. And then I was like, haven't they paid? Haven't they paid? And I said, oh no. Then there was a time, that period, Cadbury had board issues. He said, oh, because of their board issues, they are not paying anybody, something. That Thursday praying and fasting that I used to do, I'll now wake him up on that Thursday. Me, I'm praying and fasting for him. Stormy Omasha and say we should do it. Power be praying woman, be praying wife. I'll wake him up in the middle of the night. I'll start praying. The accountants in Cadbury, he will know no peace until they release your money, until they can. Actually, they don't pay him. They had paid him. They had paid him. So when that guy was now, so what happened was, I was not like, I just asked, I said, how did you, Uncle Kenny, how did you get this check? Now told me that they went for a meeting of ICANN charter, whatever, then the accountant of the whatever was there making a speech, saying something. And I now told her that you guys don't have integrity, that somebody worked for you for free, you never paid. So that one was trying to prove a point that that's not that they pay all their what do they call them now? That they pay their vendors, blah blah blah. So that it was that guy that printed out the check and gave it to. What did you use the money to do? And you know that I'm owing. You know I need to pay. Now lie, he used to go to again. He had some issues, he had to sort out. He's not everything to tell me. Pardon? I can't hear you again. No. Oh, it's breaking. I can't hear. But anyway, that's what happened. I hope you can. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, but I cannot hear you. But I don't leave that job because by that time we had the tsunami in the banks. They cut our salaries. I couldn't afford to pay his loan. If I'm paying the loan, I have to go and borrow to meet up. So I had to resign so that I will start afresh. And that's what I did. But I can't hear you anymore. Maybe you type it in the comments. I can't hear. The network, I can't hear anything. The network is really bad. Odun? Hello, Odun? Network really bad. Let me write. Network bad. Can't hear you. Oh, it's so painful, oh. They can hear me, but I can't hear the host. I can't hear the host. People hear me, but they can't hear you. Although they can't hear you, but they said they can hear me. Oh. This is evil. Evil. So you don't want people to get their liberation. Odu? Odu, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Odu?
I can hear you. I don't know what's going on.
It's coming on and off. On and off. Just ask the next question.
Okay, we are actually rounding up. If you can hear me, we are rounding up. Maybe I will just ask it in the comment section. Or can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Sorry, we don't know what's going on. Of course, it's network. Like I said, technology cannot be perfect. It's always one or the other. But we'll get through this. We're almost done. Let's just try. Let's just round up. We've tried as much as possible to unravel your own right. No, so now what I want you to do is to advise someone. I hope you can see the comments, because there are a lot of comments I can't be scrolling through and all that.
Yeah,
after the show. Yeah, scroll through. So if for someone going through what you went through right now, what would you tell the person? For another that is going through it, or a Shalewa or a Ngozi, whoever that is going through what you went through, what advice will you give the person?
The advice I will give is, number one, you're going to have to be very, very strong and courageous. And nobody can be strong for you. Nobody can be courageous for you. We can only try. People can only try with their advice and all of that. You have to be strong for yourself. And then those children, if you have children, for those children, because you don't want to bring up children in a toxic environment. If you bring up children in a toxic environment, they will continue that cycle. So you need to understand, if you have children, understand that it's no longer about you. You have to be strong for yourself and for your children. You know, people send me messages, when I post up or I mention some things online. Like I said, I've never even mentioned half of what I've gone through. I can't do that, because a lot of times I have to forget them so I could be okay, I could be sane. Do you understand? So you need to be strong in yourself. If you are not strong, then you need to reach out for help. Now, not church, please, not church. Because, yes, I'm not church. I'm not saying not God. Don't get me wrong. God is always there. God is not in a church. God is everywhere. God is here right now, as we're talking. So not church, because a lot of times the advice that will come for church, I went to church. I should be a pastor now. I was in Redeemed Church for 18 years. Now I've been in Fountain Church for how many years? You get? So if I want to be, I could have been a pastor. So it's not, I remember when I was going to leave my marriage and I told my pastors then in Redeemed I wanted to leave my marriage. Don't leave, don't you? They did not even look at the abuse. They didn't look at what I was going through psychologically, financially, emotionally. That one was just like, no, you cannot leave. God hates divorce. But does God want you to die? Do you understand? So please, not church. We have therapists that have been, trained to help you in those places. It's just that, I think now it's changing, but in Nigeria, you'll be thinking, it's only when you're mad that you go and see a therapist or you're having mental issues. No. That's not when you're overwhelmed with life issues or any kind of issues, it is okay to see a therapist, to see someone that will help you. Now, I'm a life coach. I went down that road because as at that time, there were no therapists per se, but I saw that life coaching certification as one that could offer me therapy. I did it with Lanre Olushola, so I went through the life coaching, and that was how I got my healing and my sanity. Because honestly, I was losing my sanity. I became suicidal. All of those things happened. I went from 100 to 0. I went from having money to having nothing. Do you understand? So I went through all of that. So my advice is going to be, you need to build up your courage for yourself and for your children, because the road ahead is going to be tough. The road ahead is going to be tough. I cannot lie to you. Even right now, I'm in the UK. Some people are saying, she's in the UK. She's in the... Single-handedly by myself, brought my children, with God of course, to the UK. It is not beans. So I am still living the ripple effect. It is not easy. I said I finished master's, now I'm looking for a job, now I'm looking for visa to stay. So it is not an easy route at all, being a single parent and then not having a man that will be able to support you because you were married to him or whatever. So that's it.
Interruption. I was going to ask you that. How is this relationship with his kids now?
The funny thing is, even during all the abuse and all, I think somehow, somewhere, he loves his children. Maybe he just does not know how to express it. Because like I said, when I was looking for my healing as well, I tried to track his own childhood. And I realized a lot of things, his own childhood was even messed up than mine. To be honest, if you've watched Jeffrey Dahmer, you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, his childhood was a mess. So he didn't know how to express love. His way of expressing love was very whack. Do you understand? So from when I understood what he went through to his child, so I'm not excusing all of the rubbish he did, or he's even still doing, because even now that we're in the UK, I'm like, okay, send something for your son at least. Okay, your daughter is broken, son. He's still not able to send. But of course, I know the reason why he's not financially, because he has never been financially responsible anyway. So he's 50 now. He's not a child. You get. Audio has gone. Drop it in the comments.
Do you think you enable not by taking up? Hey, Jesus. Okay.
I can hear you now. Did I enable him by what?
It up for them. If let me by taking up the responsibility, by you picking up and paying yourself, paying house bills.
Yes, I enabled him.
Do you think you were enabling him?
I enabled him. So you're asking me that, do I think I enabled him? Yes, I did. And guess what? His family members also agreed the same thing. Why were you paying school fees? Why were you paying rent? Why were you doing this? You should have left it. And I'm like, so I should have left. I should have allowed my children be sent out of school. I should have allowed my children not have, when I could afford it. I saw the relationship as two becoming one. Do you understand? His first 2 cars, I bought it for him before I now bought 1 car for myself. So it was always about him, supporting him, being a good helpmate. The Bible says, let's be helpmates. So, you know, I was trying to be the perfect wife, forgetting that, look, it takes 2 to make a marriage, and it takes 2 to break a marriage. I say this all the time. Now it takes 2. Either one person, when I say it takes 2, because I know somebody has argued with me before that, no, it doesn't take 2. If you are doing your, no, I'm doing my best. The other person is not doing, it can't work. Do you understand? It can never work. So it takes 2. So yes, I enabled him by doing all of those things, but I was doing it from a place of being responsible and a place of, like the Bible says, oh, 2 become 1. Now we have some stories of some men that actually, their women did support them, and in the end of the day, the men were very, you know, grateful and receptive. But he wasn't. Do you understand? He wasn't. That was the difference. I was still struggling to do the children. I was still struggling to do this. I was still go to work. Then if I remember several times I missed my promotion at work. I came home, I was crying. He'd be telling me, Shonique, big girl, let me see how they will promote you now. She is that money that you are using to. I'm like, the money that I'm using for all of us in the family, you are still, you know, you are still bitter about the source of the money. So I enabled him. I will say that I enabled him, but the truth of the matter is there is no mother that will watch her children suffer. When you have it in your capability to help your children, why would you allow them suffer? Do you understand? So I enabled him, but honestly, even if I did not enable him, okay, if I did not enable him, he will still go around and say she's working. She did not put money, she did not help. She knew that, and he was always expecting a check. Always, he always said, I'm expecting one money. Even even now we're here. When I was saying, okay, just be paying maybe your son's bus pass, because sometimes, right now I'm not even working. When I was going to do my dissertation, I stopped working. And you know what it is, living in the abroad, especially this UK, you're not working, bills are piling up. And I was like, look, just be paying your son's bus pass and his transport, his feeding. He's still expecting a check. This is 20, our marriage would have been 20 years this year. He's still expecting a check. So that's just it. I can't hear again. No, drop in the comments. Comments. I can't hear you.
Don't worry. The check will be one day. The check.
I said we'll come one day. Oh, okay, that's what you said. So anyway, that's just it in a nutshell. It is a very, being in an abusive relationship is a very vicious cycle. And it's only by the grace of God. I don't know why the network messed up, but let's round up. So write what you want me to say, and then I'll just say it. She just wrote, let's round up. Amen. No, I did it. The network has been very, very one kind, but it's okay. It's all good. The people that need to get there, okay. Say, give us your final thoughts. Okay, I apologize about the first of all, but I'm sure who needs to hear this will hear this. My final thought: one, you cannot take away the place of prayer. As in God in this journey.
Esther Queen, thank you for joining Glimpse Extra. Okay, we just actually want to just round up. I'm tired of the network thing too. I don't know. It keeps coming in and out, going in and out, but I really need to get out of here. So I'm going to let Bimba come back so we can just round up. She'll give her final thoughts and we will be done. Okay? Let me see. Hopefully she's not tired because I think it's like past 9. Billionaire Jumzi, thank you for joining. We are rounding up. We are done. I can't see. Bimba is not picking. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if it's a network or my own network. I shall know something is off with the network. I'm not even connecting. I can't even get her. Yeah, Bimbo. Let's just round up. If you can just come on, I'm back again, so we can just round up. Yes. Let's just, no, it's just to round up. In like 2-3 minutes, we are done. Just to round up and be done. Yeah, thank you, Sheila. Thank you. All right, Oshé. Yeah, so she'll just come back. She'll come back for us to round up. It's frustrating and tiring. Thank you, Shola. Thank you for hearing and seeing me. I can see you too. Anyway, so while we wait for Bimbo, okay, she's back. I'm going to read something that Adetutu Oshofowora posted on. She said, living must be planned. I once helped a woman to plan living like that. It took us 3 months to execute it. Selling properties, getting buyers, and all that. She even had to leave the city, getting another accommodation in another city, saving enough to be comfortable there till she starts a business again. Yeah. The day she left, it was when he had gone to a meeting because he was a pastor. I told her that once the truck we hired left the shores of the city, she should just send one message to her parents that she's not dead or kidnapped. Then remove the SIM card and break it. And she must not put anyone, including me, for at least 3 years.
What?
She said, yes. She said that was how I was able to, for that one to leave. So basically what we are saying is, if you're ready, like Big said when she was telling her story, nobody can make you leave. You can only leave when you're ready. Like I said last week, we need to stop the selfishness. We need to stop the selfishness, because most of our own selfish reasons that made us stay in that marriage, in such marriages, even to the detriment of our children. Bimbo kept mentioning our children, the ripple effect they had on our children. But most of the times we'll come and we'll say we are staying because of the kids. And I say it's selfishness. It is selfishness.
Yeah.
So she said, I tell them to leave. But Adetutu Oshofowora is a pastor, and she said for her own kind of pastor, she
God bless
to leave, which is the blunt truth. She says the covenant of life is more important than marriage. You don't have pastor. I'm like, because I'm also a therapist. Many pastors indeed are just unreasonable about the issue of the. So anyway, God will give us the strength, because I think you need to get to a place where you're strong mentally also for you.
You need to be strong, like I said. You need to be strong. It takes a lot.
Your final thoughts. Let's round this up, because we've had a lot of back and forth.
Okay, I said it before the former video, but I'll say it again. You need to be strong for yourself and your children, if children are involved. And then you need to be very, very prayerful, because the journey ahead is going to be tough. I mentioned it before and I'm saying it again. The journey ahead as a single mom, a single parent, is going to be a tough one. So you need to be strong. I have moments where even till now, I still break down. To be honest, I still break down because I'm so challenged. I'm like, life would have been better if only I did not, go down this route. But I've gone down the route. So stop. Yeah, I would say stop having regrets, okay? I'm not having regrets anymore, to be honest, but it was not overnight. It took me some time. Like I said, there is a healing process. See, a broken woman, a woman that leaves a marriage or has a bad marriage, you're already broken by yourself. And remember that I said my childhood, I was broken. So adulthood again, I was still broken. So I needed to heal myself, so to speak. And well, I said the healing is 100%. No, it's not 100%, because I'm still living the effects from that breakup. You understand? But the grace of God is what keeps me going. And see, never get to the point where you feel like we talk about God is overemphasized. There is a place for God in the journey. If not for the place of God, I won't be where I am today. Do you understand? With my children, relocating, go and check anywhere with your children as a single parent to the UK is tough. So another hurdle that I have to go through again, and all because, okay, I want to give these children the best and everything. And I'm here again. You have other challenges that are coming. So my only advice is just that, look, take it one day at a time. Okay? Because the journey ahead is a long one. Take it one day at a time. Prayerfully take it one day at a time. There's a place for prayer. Accept what has happened. All right? It has happened. It has happened. Don't beat yourself up over it. You made a mistake or you should have done this. Don't beat yourself over it. Like I said, you know, accept that it has happened and look forward to better days. So take it one day at a time. Do you understand? Take it one day at a time and just try. See, there's no magic. I can say it till tomorrow, till kingdom comes. There's no magic for these things. You just have to prayerfully take it one day at a time. There'll be good times, there'll be bad times, but take it one day at a time. And my prayer is that God will help anyone in that situation and all will be well. Got to go now. Done. Network started messing up again. Follow Odun, like I said, Real Talk with Odun. Follow me, Labeams. Facebook, Instagram. Bye.